welcome and thank you for joining us. It's Friday, July 12th. You're watching News 2 on VIA Channel 4 and 504. I'm Leslie Camisiang. Topping our stories tonight, the concerns of residents on the state of education were heard by a panel including a member of the legislative branch, a private sector advocate, and an education administrator. At the forum, attendees inquired further into concerns about the K-8 program being implemented in the public school system this upcoming year. One legislator expressed that even with challenges, the public school system has the ability to flourish.
But in our quest to prepare for the 21st century, have we lost where we were? Back in the 60s, the Virgin Islands was one of the most educated places.
Panelists engaged with residents at a town hall meeting addressing the current state of education. The forum was organized by education activist Mary Moorhead, whom also serves on the Board of Education. Forum's attendees both commented and inquired on topics regarding the fine arts in the school system, the unfair treatment of special needs students, but most concerns were in regard to the reasons for the implementation of the K-8 program.
We found in our research, we found in our review of data that the student population in the Virgin Islands and in St. Croix, especially after the storm, continued to decline. We found that we were losing teachers. And not only were we losing teachers, we saw that this was a national phenomenon.
Several school facilities in the Virgin Islands public school system have been abandoned due to both environmental and structural issues. The impact of both Category 5 storms, Irma and Maria, added further detriment to the Department of Education, whose woes is also compacted with teacher shortages. But former educator and now third-time Senator Kurt Viollet says that none of the territory's setbacks should be hindering the progress of education.
Cuba has a tremendously high literacy rate. Do they have all the technology of the United States? No, they don't. Are the people rich? No, they're not. Do they have all the gadgets that we have? No, they don't. But what they have is an appreciation for education.
I don't hear anything about the integration of VI history being improved in our education system, and I wanted to know what is being done to improve how VI history is being taught to the students in our education system.
In legislative hearings, as well as social groups taking action in the judicial system, the concerns of the lack of VI history has become a raging topic. With over 30 years of experience in the field of education, Victor Sum understands the concerns and shared his own experience as a teacher.
I'm speaking personally now because I am a former Virgin history teacher at the Janet Wilson Junior High School. And I found that we need to do a better job of teaching Virgin history. And Virgin history is something that should not be limited to a classroom. Virgin history is all around us. And when we talk about Virgin history, we need to look at Virgin history and teach Virgin history from an experiential standpoint.
Senator Bailey stated that funding was put toward both a text and workbook for VI history that would hopefully be available by next school year. For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Senator Kurt Viollet advocated that teachers should be given the authority to create curriculums that are relevant to the Virgin Islands, as well as addressing the needs of each classroom prospectively. Meanwhile, over in Puerto Rico, former Secretary of Education Julia Kelleher was among a group of people recently arrested by the FBI as a result of a fraud investigation. The federal government is alleging that Kelleher and 5 other people steered federal money to unqualified, politically connected contractors after Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Also arrested were former Puerto Rico Health Insurance Administration head Angela Avila Marrero, businessman Fernando Scherer Caliet, and education contractors Glenda E. Ponce Mendoza and Mera Ponce Mendoza, who are sisters. The group faces 32 counts of money laundering, fraud, and other related charges. The FBI also confirmed the arrest of businessman Alberto Velasquez Piñol, who was also indicted during a press conference Wednesday morning. The alleged fraud happening between 2017 and 2019, and it also involves $15.5 million in federal funding. Roughly $13 million was spent by the Department of Education during Kelleher's time as the secretary, while $2.5 million was spent by the Insurance Administration when Avila was the director. Kelleher was known for closing hundreds of schools during her 2-year tenure. Officials said there is no evidence that Kelleher or Avila Morero had personally benefited from the scheme, but they added that Kelleher bypassed regular bidding procedures to steer contracts towards her friends. On Wednesday, the newscast that we had here on TV2, Dr. Alex Randall talked about the situation at Cokey Point Beach, where businesses that rented beach chairs and umbrellas were setting them up before the safaris arrived to accommodate tourists taking the best spots on the beach. Well, on Friday, the beach was back to normal. We talked to Sports Parks and Recreation Commissioner Designee Calvert White to get an update on the situation.
First off, I don't want people to think that this was a reaction of the Daily News article. This was not the first time that vendors were warned about the rules and regulations at Cokey Point. So it wasn't. Although we reacted to the article, like I said, this is something that we've had to deal with before. I'm hoping it's the last time that we have to deal with it. We did call all the vendors in. All the vendors did report to my office. We had a conversation about the rules and regulation. One of the line items in the rule and regulation clearly states that no beach rental vendor can put out chairs until that chair is rented. I do want to put it on the record that initial to that meeting, there was a grace period, a grace amount of, I think it was between 10 and 15 chairs. However, the vendors still violated that compromise. So it was my decision to pick up all the chairs and not have them down until they're rented. It was just a response to the visitors and the tourists because, you know, we have received complaints about from locals about the same thing happening, and it was just time for myself to address it.
As the Jeffrey Epstein controversy rages in the mainland and at the heels of Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett's pledge to donate campaign contributions from Epstein to charity, News 2 reached out to various local leaders to get confirmation on whether or not they received any funds from the billionaire recently arrested on sexual trafficking charges. Here's our list so far. Governor Albert Bryan did not receive any donations from Epstein, according to his communications director, Richard Motta. Senators who categorically denied receiving any donations from Jeffries Epstein were Senators Novelle Francis, Allison DeGazan, Oakland Benter, Alicia Barnes, Stephen Payne, Janelle Sorrow, Javon James, Myron Jackson, Stedman Hodge, Adniel Bobby Thomas, and Marvin Blyden. Senators who have not yet responded to inquiries sent to their Senate emails were Senators Dwayne DeGraff, Kenneth Gittens, Kurt Viele, and Donna Fred Gregory. We'll keep you updated on this story. Coming up next, the new National Guard Adjutant General nominee intends to crack down on sexual harassment at the National Guard, plus a look at the regional news when we return. Welcome back. Lawmakers on Thursday heard from a few more of Governor Bryan's nominees to lead its departments. The Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee approved the nominations of Kimberly Causey Gomez for the Department of Human Services, Calvert White for the Department of Sports, Parks, and Recreation, and Colonel Kojo Knox Limbacher for Adjutant General of the Virgin Islands National Guard. Limbacher received praise from lawmakers for his no-nonsense approach and a pledge to hold accountable anyone involved in sexual harassment and domestic violence under his command.
Over the decades earlier, swept under the rug, but today unacceptable and addressed in a policy of no nonsense in that regards. But why was this out of control in the territory?
So as you said that overall, throughout the nation, we're having issues. One thing we've seen as we continue to grow is a lack of discipline and physical fitness across the nation in certain agencies throughout the military. You have to hold people accountable. So the reality is, people need to understand sexual assault is a crime and it's going to never be tolerated. As we continue to address that and hold people accountable, we can make sure we change the Virgin Islands to no longer have that. When it's identified, stop it, make a call, engage someone, call a leader. These things have to happen day to day to make a strategy work. And that's what we've had before in the past, where you may have had toxic followers who were not supporting the requirements that were there, and they were not held accountable. I will hold them accountable, Senator.
2 minutes.
Senator, whenever there's a victim, they have to have that exam. It has to be someone who's trained to safeguard the evidence, so we can now have prosecutable evidence to hold people accountable. So without having someone trained, you can't safeguard the evidence and help that victim get to justice in the end.
In Caribbean news, Antigua Computer Technology, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Trade, and the United Nations Office for Project Services are collaborating with Airbox Technologies to develop a new system that would revolutionize postal deliveries across Antigua and Barbuda. Through this partnership, residents of the Twin Island nation will be able to send and receive packages via drone.
The sky is the limit when technology intervenes into our daily lives. That's the vision when drone technology enters the sphere here in Antigua, bringing deliveries to your home anywhere across the island. The Antigua Computer Technology, ACT, is one of the organizations at the forefront of this initiative.
We have drones that are designed to hold packages of 9 pounds or less. That's really suitable for some food items, letters, really smaller packages, small parcels. And then we have drones that could hold up to 40 pounds, up to 65 pounds. We have another drone that could hold 100 pounds, 150 pounds, even up to 2 tons.
The drone delivery service is expected to cut delivery times in half. Whether you're ordering pizza from your favorite restaurant or picking up groceries from a supermarket or simply getting medical supplies from a pharmacy, the drone delivery service will skip traffic and be at your doorstep within minutes. Thus the need for retailers here in this country to have an online base. The drones running autonomous would carry the packages to people's home mailboxes and lower them by a crane while the drone stays some distance hovering above. This drone service could be available in Antigua and Barbuda by the second quarter of 2020. Andrew DeMitt says ACT's focus now rests on making the service accessible to anyone because inclusivity is key, either by a private mailbox or shared mailboxes in one community. Another partner is Airbox Drone Delivery Service, inventor and CEO Brandon Lago.
My initial intention in the invention of Airbox was so that 70% of the world can receive home delivery.
Here on island, the government's arm, the Antigua and Barbuda Science and Innovation Park, is making opportunities available. The project manager is Winston Williams.
Airbox Delivery Services is an opportunity that Antigua and Barbuda can benefit from on so many levels. just being here today, just being the first Caribbean island that this project is being tested in, is great.
A service coming to Antigua and Barbuda with soaring possibilities. Terry Andrew, ABS News.
Stick around. The Pet of the Week is coming up next, plus your News 2 AccuWeather forecast when we come back. Welcome back. This week's pet is a little sweetheart named Amila. She's been at the Humane Society of the Virgin Islands for a while, and she's ready for a forever home. Donna Nemeth, Director of Operations at the Humane Society, tells us all about Amila.
This is Amila. She is a wonderful little dog. She is about 5 years old, and she gets along with cats and dogs and just about everybody that she's met. She's super friendly. She walks great on a leash. She came into us as a stray, and she is heartworm positive. She'll need to be treated for that, but she is the perfect size for living in a small home. A lot of people have limits on the size animals they can keep, and she's just under 20 pounds, and she would just make a great family dog. We think she'd be great with kids, and definitely a good member with other animals in the family.
If you or anyone you know is interested in Amila, you can call the Humane Society at 775-0599 or visit www.hsstt.com. You can also foster their rescue animals or donate supplies to the shelter or inquire about their volunteer program. Now let's take a look at the weather for the next few days with our News 2 AccuWeather forecast.
Good evening and happy Friday. We're going to continue to track out tropical waves across the Caribbean, but what we've been noticing is our trade winds on the moderate side, and that's going to continue to be the case, bringing in some rough surf and some breezy conditions. Now, out towards the Caribbean, you're definitely noticing that tropical wave to the south into the windwards. That's going to continue to shift its way into the leewards, as well as some of that moisture into the Virgin Islands as we move into your Saturday night, potentially. That's where we're going to see the best chance for some shower activity. We take a closer look. Not too wet for tonight. Wet weather to our south and out towards our east. We continue to track out the potential for some more waves coming off the coast of Africa, and that's going to continue to press its way further to the east. So these are the origins that eventually make their way into our neck of the woods. Mainly clear tonight, dropping down into the lower 80s. And as we move into tomorrow, a shower or two throughout the day, topping off at 89 in St. John. Looking at a high also in the upper 80s in St. Thomas, and calling for some showers in towards St. Croix with a high of 90. So feeling great out there. If you plan to be outdoors, still going to be feeling the heat, but with some showers passing through. Now on the Atlantic side, waves are running 1 to 3 feet. Winds on the east 10 to 15. If you're on the Caribbean side, it's a different story, and that's because that easterly flow definitely on the higher side. Winds 15 to 20 knots and out of the east, and waves 4 to 6 feet. So we do have a small craft use caution. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a small craft warning or advisory popping up across some of the islands. So definitely be cautious if you're doing any water plans. Now for the next several days, we'll be looking at that wet weather. Once again, best chance will be tomorrow. They'll be drying out a bit more Sunday with just a morning shower likely. Monday comes around, still looking at a beautiful forecast. Lots of sunshine and drier air sticking with us for Tuesday as well, with highs remaining in the 90s. A bit more moisture to return for the middle of the week.
Thank you for that. Coming up next, Alex Randall's news and comments. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 2. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. There was a fire at Royal Dane Mall. It should have been an easy one for the fire service to stop, but the fire hydrant was not operating. It took the fire service a bunch of extra time to connect to a working fire hydrant before they could attack the fire. We lost Gladys Cafe and other businesses in Royal Dane Mall. The fire service says they're not responsible for the working conditions of the hydrants. That is Water and Power Authority's job, and WAPA says they don't have the resources to keep all the hydrants working. So we could call that another WAPA tax. You know the WAPA tax. That's what we all have to pay because our water and power authority can't run smoothly. You own a generator or candles or a propane stove because WAPA is unreliable. That's the WAPA tax. You have gallons of spare water because WAPA is not reliable. That's the WAPA tax. So you can add this to the WAPA tax list. You better have a fire extinguisher. Actually, you ought to have a lot of fire extinguishers because WAPA is unreliable. You got to be sure you can extinguish a fire in your home because the nearest fire hydrant may not work in an emergency. Call it another WAPA tax. Oh, any good news here? Well, of course there's good news. Gladys says she's already working on a site for the new Gladys Cafe. Old wife and Fungi will be back as soon as she finds a place and gets going, and I can't wait. Speaking of taxes, get ready for the Bible tax. Seems President Trump's tariffs on all things coming from China is hitting Bible publishers. The major publishing companies say they do most of their book printing in China. And with the Trump tariffs, the Bibles printed in China are going to cost more, 25% more. The majority of Bibles in America are printed in China, so the tariff hits all of them. And to compound the problem, most American publishing companies have sent all their printing to China, so there are no domestic printing alternatives. The word may be with God, but the printers are in China, and Trump's tariffs will make Bibles cost more. It's summer. Let's all go to the beach. Bring your chair and a picnic basket. Make a day of it. Unless, of course, you go to Coki Beach, where the vendors have their chairs set up in a row all along the beach. You either pay them $15 for the chair for the day or put your own chair at the back of the beach. Back of the beach. Sounds like the buses in the Old South, doesn't it? Back of the bus? Well, we have vendors who rent chairs, and they are hogging the whole beach at Coki. And it's not just Coki. Go to Honeymoon Beach on Water Island. There's a business there that's taken over the beach for their private business. Hello, folks. These are public beaches, and all of we are supposed to be welcome on any beach. Open beaches. It's the law. But the businesses near the beaches take over, and licensing and consumer affairs doesn't have enough staff to monitor every vendor at every beach. Our world-famous hospitality is being compromised by beach chair vendors who want to make a buck. My opinion? Take back the beaches. Have you ever tried to get something done in a government office? It is really wonderful that in a small community like this, everyone knows just about everyone, and the guy in the government office is known to all of us and knows everyone, except when the one guy in that government office is out on vacation. It's comical that in so many offices there's just one person who's authorized to do critical work. One. And if they're out on vacation or off to a funeral or away, nothing happens until they get home. Try to get a business license when the big guy in that office is on vacation. Try to do a real estate transaction when the big guy at the land office is on vacation and can't sign your paperwork. Or try to get a court document when the office manager's on vacation. It would really be smart for every office to have a designated backup person so every job can get done when Mr. Big is out of the office for a week. The flow of paperwork should continue. Finally, and here is some good news. No change in the hurricane forecast. The hurricane forecasters at Colorado State University updated their forecast for this year's season. No change. 14 named storms, 6 of them hurricanes, 2 of them expected to be major storms. That is average. El Nino's down. It's not forming. That's bad news. But the temperature in the tropical Atlantic is down, which is good news. So we end up with an average season. You know, I would love to be above average in some things, above average in IQ, income, family size. But when it comes to hurricanes, I really like average. Average number of storms, average chance of landfall, average. It's good news. Thanks for watching. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Now back to Leslie.
Thank you for that, Alex. And that's it for our show tonight. We're live on Facebook and YouTube and on via Channel 4 and 504, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. Follow us on social media, tag us on any stories you want to see on the news, or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2. I'm Leslie Camisiang. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.